once you've realized that you've got your own business and it all depends on you, you're either going to sink or swim.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Mastering the Numbers. This is Joe Mallo with the Lead Edge Consulting Group. We're powered by Focal Point Business and Executive Coaching. In this next episode, we have Debra Spatz. She's the founding owner and she's an attorney with Spatz Law Group. Debra, thanks for taking some time out to spend it with me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, especially since I know you just moved into a brand new office space, and you probably have a phenomenal amount of work to do besides just spending a little bit of time on a podcast. So thank you very much. Debra, can you do the audience a favor and myself? Tell us a little bit about the Spatz Law Group.
So Spatz Law Group is a very boutique law firm. We do estate planning, wills, trusts, that sort of thing, healthcare directives. We take a different approach from traditional lawyers in that we don't just do documents. You can get a will, you can get a trust just about anywhere these days, but we shy away from that, and what we offer is a full plan. So we will help people figure out what they have, where they have it, how it's held. We'll sit down with them. They will actually go through and do a bunch of homework. We call homework prior to our meeting. And when we actually sit down, then we can show them exactly what would happen to all of their assets, all of their personal belongings, everything, if something were to happen to them the next day. And sometimes people are okay with that. They've got enough protection set up and all of that. But if not, then because we've already gone through and helped them organize and figure out what they have and what their goals are and values, we can use the rest of that meeting to go ahead and design a full-on plan. We do, typically it's 3 meetings. So we have that first meeting where we do reviewing and planning. And then we have a signing meeting where we sign all of the documents, get all of that in order. And then another thing that we do that is very different is that at the end, we have what we call a legacy interview. And that is pretty much a gift that somebody can give to their loved ones. A lot of the things that you don't get in an estate plan are your hopes and your dreams and your stories and little tidbits of this and that and things that you want people to remember, or even your voice or just a video of yourself. And we capture all of that at the end. And that's something that a lot of clients just, it's a very emotional thing, but it's not a sad emotional thing. A lot of people don't want to do estate planning because they have to talk about death. Yeah. And this way, it turns everything into a positive, and it's a gift that you're giving. And so that happens at our 3rd meeting. And then another difference from traditional is that that's not the end of our representing the client. It's really just the beginning, because every 3 years, no matter what, we will contact clients, make sure that everything is reviewed so that people don't end up 5, 10, 20 years down the road with an estate planning binder on their shelf that is completely out of date and is completely useless for them. So it's a whole, I'd like to say, a heartfelt package about estate planning.
Yeah. I think that reminds me, we had our estate planning done a long time ago. so I think we might have to talk about that. What's that?
Every 3 years at a minimum.
Every 3 years. Well, I won't tell you how many years it is. We'll talk about it some other time. So when you put down that plan, have there been times where your clients are completely shocked at what would happen if they were gone the very next day? because they
Absolutely.
haven't planned properly.
Absolutely. Um, a lot of times you don't really realize what you have until you see it in front of you.
Yeah.
And some of the things that are often shocking to people, especially if they have minor children, um, they might not have a lot of assets, but the whole process of going through probate
Yeah.
is it's extremely it's long, it's exhausting,
Yeah.
it's confusing. If you have children, nobody knows what's happening with them. You know, it's from day to day, it's horrible on a family to
Yeah.
have somebody else have to go through and figure out what to do. And this is, not necessarily if they don't have to die for this to be a problem. Say you've got parents that end up in a car accident on their way home from dinner, and they are both in a coma, and there's a babysitter home with the kids. Well, they have not died, so their will, if they have a will, isn't going to come into play yet. Um, but nobody knows what to do with the children. Who's going to have the authority to stay with them? Maybe it's their longtime babysitter who knows the kids and would be the best there to comfort them. But when the police come, they don't have the authority to let the babysitter stay. So
Right.
those kids might get taken and put into state custody. Um, so it's a lot of that tragic stuff that you don't really think about that goes into a proper estate plan. Um, but then the other main surprising, shocking factor is you may not have enough money to be taxed for estate tax. Right now, that's at 14 million. Probably will go down to 6 or 7 in the next year or so. But even if you aren't at that level, there are still a lot of costs in going through probate.
Yeah.
So in Ohio, not only will it take at least 6 to 9 months, but at a minimum, it's usually 3, 4, 5% of your total value of your estate that is going to get paid in court fees, attorney's fees, all of the appraisal fees, all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily the tax, but that could still end up being a big chunk of money.
Yeah.
And it's unavailable for your family when they need it.
Yeah. It's going to the state instead of going to the family.
Yeah.
So, I'm a very visual person. I think a lot of people are, most people are. So being able to see that plan, almost like a financial plan, they may know it's not set up properly, but when they see it, they're just like, okay, it becomes real. And I think that's great. So what inspired you to start Spatz Law Group?
Well, I never actually had intentions of owning my own business. When I went to law school, I was going to be just the this typical city lawyer working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, but then, so I'm from Chicago, and we moved to Ohio, and then had a lot of children, and it definitely changed my outlook on life, what was important. Um, I used to focus on corporate securities law and international, and wanted to do all the crazy, exciting stuff. But when it came down to it, the things that were important were my family and how to protect them. And when I started to look into that, um, I didn't like how it had been done in the past. The the creating a trust plan for somebody, but then not helping them fund the trust. So then it was a complete waste. Or creating a will for somebody and then 6 months later it's out of date. Um, and the the other like main problem that I discovered is that people do not want to talk about it. And it's something that is going to happen to everybody. And there was no standard way of talking about it where people were comforted with talking about it. And I wanted to change that. I wanted to find a way to make it not such a taboo, scary thing to talk about, but just something that everybody is going to deal with And the more you plan for it, the less scary it is. So really, I ended up starting my own firm because I wanted to do it in that way. I wanted
Yeah.
it to be good, I guess.
Yeah. More, more full service. I mean, coming from a family, I'm a child of divorced parents. One did their estate planning really well, and one didn't. So I have a perfect view of what it looks like when things are done properly and when things aren't. And I assure you, it was much easier when it was done properly. Um, so, what are some of the biggest challenges or struggles you've had to overcome in getting your business up and running?
I would say my biggest challenge is time,
Yeah.
time management. Uh, we do have a big family. My kid's dad travels a lot, so it's a lot of juggling and shuffling and um, what I thought would take 6 months to get going, 2.5 years later, still trying to get there.
Yeah.
So, the biggest challenge is really just the the time management and obviously finding the resources and the money to do what
Yeah.
you need to do. You've got you need money to make money, but if it's that catch 22.
Yeah. Time's always the biggest one. It's probably what I hear the most with every small business owner is I wish I had more time.
Yeah.
It's just universal. So, is there anything that you would have done differently in starting or growing the business to this point? Not a different career path, but just in
Um,
running the business.
I would have uh, I would have done a lot more research so I truly understood all of the infrastructure that I needed for the business. So, obviously you need computers, you need all of the equipment and things, but it's not as simple as hanging out a shingle and
Right.
just welcoming clients in the door. Um, and being a lawyer, I think a lot of people have that misconception that you can just work wherever you are and whenever you are, and people will just give you the
Yeah.
money for it.
Yeah.
And it's a business. You have to have it, every aspect of a business applies, even if it's just one main service that you're offering. Um, so I think I would have done the research beforehand to really know what I was getting into so that I could be 100% prepared for it so that it would go more smoothly or more quickly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, speaking of misconceptions, I think people believe that clients walk in the front door 5 minutes after you open.
Right.
And everybody out there listening knows that that's not the case. So,
And then, 4 hours later, you have $1,000. Well, no, it doesn't work that way.
right, right, exactly. So, well, I guess that kind of leads to, professional and personal balance. I believe you told me previously you have 4 children.
5.
Five. Okay, so I was one
One's in
off.
college,
So
so we don't,
one in college.
I'm not totally, 4.5. I don't count.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, you have five children. You have a business, a brand new office. How do you balance that professional and personal life?
Um, Not sure, actually.
You're not.
Well, I don't invite anybody over to my home because it's a mess. Um, it's hard to balance all of that. For a couple years, I just had an office at home, which I thought would help that balancing aspect. Um, but that doesn't necessarily work because then you've got children and dogs and cats, and you're there, so everybody's in your face all the time.
Yeah.
So one of my balancing tactics I'm hoping that works is having the external office at least. So it's a separation of home and work. Um, because you don't have that when you're just walking down the hallway to
Yeah.
get to your office.
Yeah.
Um, And that's
less interruptions, less interruptions that are taking you off path
right.
and extending your day sometimes. So yeah, that makes
And,
sense. I get the same thing.
yeah, when I lived in Chicago, I had a nice commute where I could sit and, get my brain into the work mode, and then on the way home, get my brain out of the work mode. And
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that's nice. Sitting in an office for 10 hours a day is tough. It's easier when you can be in your car on the way there and on the way back for sure. So how do you that being said, with everything that's going on, I mean, how do you maintain your motivation and your focus to continue to grow the business?
a lot of times I have my assistant Ashley yelling at me, telling me to refocus and not to go down that rabbit hole that I'm doing. Um, but really, it's once you once you've realized that you've got your own business and it all depends on you, you're either going to sink or swim,
Yeah,
and you don't want to sink. So
no,
it's almost you put yourself into that situation where you have no other option but to succeed, and then that in itself can motivate you in a
right,
way. Um, the other motivating thing for me is my kids. They are the reason I'm doing it. They are my why for starting a business. And not only do I want to be able to support them, but I want to be able to show them that hard work can prove to be a valuable thing in life, and that if I can do it, they can do it.
yeah. Yeah, I always felt if our kids can see how hard we work, then it's almost ingrained in them that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is what you need to do to be successful. So if they see us not working hard at all, then they're like, oh, well, I don't have to work hard. So, um, so when it comes to innovation, in a way, you're pioneering a new way to think about estate planning with how you're setting it up for your clients. Is innovation like that a big part of of law, or is everything because law's been established for forever? Is innovation not a big part of your industry?
Innovation is a huge part of law. Um, and while law has, been established and around for a long time, it also changes every day. So, every day there's more and more to keep up with, um, without forgetting what was already done hundreds of
Yeah,
years ago. Um, so technology has so helped legal research. You know, back in the day when they didn't have the research, you physically went to the library and you had to find the book and hope that the book had the case that, it just to
right.
find one little piece of legal information took hours and hours. And now we can literally ask a law-based AI for the information and then request that it get double checked by a group of lawyers somewhere, and then it's all just handed to you. So,
Yeah,
in one way, it's great. It helps lawyers be able to do more with the information. It also can be a bit of a challenge because other people also have access to that. And while they might think, oh, I can just, you know, do a will online or just copy somebody else's or something, it it might look like it's the right thing for them to do, um, but they don't know what they don't know. And so that also puts a challenge out there where it almost appears like we're competing with innovation, but once you understand the the ramification maybe of
right.
just going down that path of, oh, I can just use this, then it's not. We're definitely still needed, but it does create a challenge
Yeah.
to educate people to understand that.
Yeah,
really.
they feel they can just find everything on the internet, and
Right.
it's always true.
Yep.
So yeah, I can see that for sure. So to take that a little bit further, I mean, so how do you stay ahead of your competition or the other lawyers that are out there that are doing something similar?
Um, my whole goal is to educate clients. Um, and even if they don't end up using my services, at least they will learn a little bit more about the importance of what they should be doing and maybe put a little more thought into what they might just pull off of the internet or something. Um, one thing that we do is host a lot of events and seminars, and they're really based on educating. So it's, people don't, people know what a will is. Sometimes they know what a trust is. They hear about estate planning, but not necessarily what it is. And a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
I've been going to having booths at bridal events and trying to educate young people that, okay, you're starting this family together. The best way to protect it is to get started now and do some foundational estate planning. But so many people will come up to the booth and just kind of give us a blank look, like, "What are you?" And,
Right.
you know what estate planning is? No, I think I
Yeah.
need it, but no. So
Yeah.
it's educating, and a lot of that is done by presentations and events and
Yeah.
stories, sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you have a list of the events and the seminars that you do on your website?
Yes, everything that we've been doing gets put up on there, and then
Okay.
when we have new ones coming up, and actually with the new space that we have, we'll be doing that monthly, so that information will be up on the website. Um, and then we post it on social media and all
Yeah.
that. And we have a
Is that all
newsletter.
is that all at spatzlawgroup.com?
Yep, spatzlawgroup.com.
All right. Awesome. So what do you find most challenging about being an attorney? You know, for people that are thinking, I want to become an attorney
Mhm.
and they're getting ready to go to school for it. What do you think is the most challenging part?
Um, challenging is the student loans that you have to pay back, is for one. um, it's, you know, law school was probably the hardest time of my life, but it was also the most exciting and probably the best time of my life. You are challenged in ways that you would never think you could get through. I used to say every day, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And going through law school was one of those one of those
Yeah.
things. Um, and I went to school at night, so I was working full time during the day, and it's it's exhausting, but at the same time, it's exhilarating because you start to see the whole world differently. Even after just one semester of law school, you just start to look at everything and think about everything in a slightly different way, and that stays with you. And it's there were I know several people that went to law school and never actually practiced law, but just having that knowledge and education,
Yeah.
completely helped them in every other business that they were in. Um, but yeah, if you're planning on going to law school, it's a great thing, but be ready to not sleep.
Well, just like anything that's good, it takes hard work.
Yeah.
So that's for sure. So where do you see your firm in the next 12 to 36 months?
Um, hopefully busy. um, really settled into our new space with a constant flow of clients due to having the right environment um, to do these presentations and events. Um, ideally, I would love to, in a few years, be so busy that I need to hire another attorney, because I do believe that this is a wonderful way to practice estate planning. And it just pulls in so many other aspects of law as well. And so, I'd love to grow the firm, and be busy, maybe grow out of the space. But there's a lot of people that need estate planning. Everybody needs estate planning. And I'd like for people to know that there's a place where they can go and it's not a scary thing.
Right.
And they can get a much needed service that will help them for the rest of their life, really. I'd love for Spatz Law Group to be known as that cool estate planning firm that makes it nice.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to watching it grow. I really do. So last couple questions. What's the best business advice anybody's ever given you?
I would say don't stop because you're afraid. Nothing in life is easy, and if you're afraid of a challenge, it means if you're afraid of a challenge and you can still go through with it, that's like the ultimate test of your passion, your motivation, your ability to do what you want to do. So don't stop because you're afraid. Just
don't stop. Well, that might be the same answer for my next question, but you'll have to let me know. If you ran into somebody that was thinking about starting a business, but they just can't get themselves over that hump to do it, or maybe they're a year or two into business and they're struggling, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, very similar. Everything is going to take longer and cost more than you originally expected. And if you can just keep swimming, really, just keep swimming. One of my favorite songs in life is "Don't Give Up" by Peter Gabriel. And, that's it. Don't give up.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Debra, I really appreciate you taking some time once again to spend with me. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
You can go to spatzlawgroup.com and you can send an email through there, or you can give us a call. We also have a Facebook page, Spatz Law Group.
Okay, great. And I know when you and I met up for coffee that one day, we met up in the Akron Fairlawn area. Is your office in the same area?
Yes, right around in there. The two offices in Bath, so it's right that Montrose, Fairlawn, Bath, Akron. But I could also, I'm in Ohio, so Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Anyone in that area is very welcome to contact me.
Great. Well, listen, everybody out there, reach out to Debra and Spatz Law Group to get your estate planning done. Once again, thank you very much. And then everybody that's sitting out there listening, thank you as well for tuning into this episode of Mastering the Numbers, and we'll catch you on the next episode. You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.